Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Mythgard in Middle-earth. My name is Corey Olsen, the Tolkien professor, joined as always by my friend Gryfflet, who is glad to be back with the Rohirrim. It's time for a trip down memory lane. Actually, it's more like time for a very complicated memory quiz, which I will probably fail. But I can't wait. This is one of the times now, like we're beginning to get into the payoff stage for all of the work that was done during the trip across Rohan, during the trip down with the Grey Company. The way in which we are building towards again, this is just one of the things I admire most about how LOTRO has taken advantage of the opportunity to add time, to get, for us to be able to see what's going on, in the entire landscape of the game and meet all of these other characters and stuff, that now as we move towards the Battle of Pelennor Field, we are doing so with armies where we know like everybody, right? We've met most of the captains of the army of the Rohirrim as we traveled around Rohan, right, and did stuff in every single town. We've met almost everyone in the armies of Gondor, both the people who are in Minas Tirith and will be defending Minas Tirith, and the people who are coming up in the boats with Aragorn. We know all the Rangers by name, right, from long past. As the Grey Company comes back and connects with Aragorn, it is just the way that all of this stuff comes together is such a rewarding payoff, unlike anything I can think of in my video game experience. Actually, it's just a marvelous thing that they've been able to accomplish here. And so today is really, for me, sort of the beginning of that payoff. We were getting some of it already, to some extent, as we were, for instance, when Forlong and those, when Forlong and the others came to Minas Tirith, and we'd, already interacted with them, or at least with their people and stuff, right? Their wives and children, and other stewards and things back in their cities. But in any case, I think it's this whole bit is a lot of fun. So I'm going to be going around collecting. So this is our first day here in the camp of the Rohirrim. We're still in the Tower Druadan, of course, in their camp, getting the Rohirrim through towards the Pelennor Fields. We have all these side quests, which again, I'm ready. I'm ready for memory lane with all of them. I'm just looking at their names, and I remember them all. Like, I remember Gléowine, and I remember Guthlaf, but I don't remember where I can't place them. Like, which town in Rohan did I interact with these people in? So we'll see. We'll see if we can remember, and you guys can help me remember too, as we go through. All right. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, Dunhera. Oh, you've got bounties? Oh, man. Okay. Well, I wanted to scout the beacons anyway, so... Oh, so I'm being sent as part of the epic quest to talk to a few of them. But that's okay. I'll talk to them. You can talk to them all. We're doing all the things.
But our ride is not yet done.
Okay. The men under my control are in need of a good meal. We have ridden as swiftly as our horses could take us. If you have a moment, could you bring some porridge to my men? It would be most appreciated. Distribute porridge. It's kind of like delivering pies. We can do that. Okay, so hang on a second. Dunhera. He's not giving me any hints. The men I command need to rest. This feels like a quiz. If I'm in need of someone to scout the nearby beacons of Gondor. Okay. Great. Dunhera. Who is Dernhelm? Where is he from? Can anyone remind me? I was hoping he would give me a hint. But he didn't give me a hint. Yeah, the colors of the enclaves are good hints. If I could remember which colors go with which parts of Rohan. Again, it was ages ago. That was like 2 years ago or something that I was doing that. Yeah, I can't remember anything from that long ago. I want to say, let's see, is this, hang on. Elfengels? Oh, Drow Snake, don't start giving me hints. I can't even handle it. Ellen Fremedin's husband? No way. Dunhera is Ellen Fremedin's husband? Okay. So we're talking about not Oldberg. Whoa. Huh. I had forgotten this. Right, so like Upburn and Underharrow, right? Mr. Fremedin, I presume. Yes. Something like that. Okay, okay. Dhéoden, what do you got? If the enemy has word of our passage, I am certain it is carried by warg-riding message bearers. We surprised one yesterday morn, and it bore some foul black scratching on some parchment, the meaning of which I could not fathom. I could recommend a correspondence course for you. If you should espy any of these warg riders behind us in the Beacon Hills, I implore you to stop them, lest our force should be found out. Okay, also giving me no hints, Dhéoden. I'm a little disappointed. These guys aren't even acting like they know me. While Théoden King's outriders look ahead, I am charged with leading the rearguard scouts who must look behind. We're all business here. We know we are being watched and that enemy forces creep up from all sides. I have sent my men out to cover what tracks they may, but I fear our marks were too many and my scouts too few. Cover Rohirrim tracks. Okay. It's been too long since they saw me. I don't know if yeah, maybe they've forgotten me too. You'd think, a Hobbit burglar would be a little more memorable. Guthlof is the standard bearer of the king. Him I remember from the book. Yeah. We should do a Kendythe Memorial Space Course for Black Speech. We should. We rode hard through the land to our west and fast. Misfortune may fly swift as an arrow, though, and in the briefest of rests, a young rider of my Aorid, Sithgar by name, had his horse run off on him, and was forced to stay behind. The thought pains me some. The horse he rode was not fully broken in, and I confess I provided her to him. Had he arrived at the muster with his late father's steed, half lame and half blind, and in all honesty, I thought he would have bonded with his new steed by now. I thought he would have caught back up with us as well, and that has not happened either. If you are heading that way, would you look for the young man? He will be in Ostrimmen, most likely, unless he is still out hunting for his horse. Ostrimmen, huh? To the Beacon Hills? Ooh. Ah. Yeah, look, there's this whole part of the map that, this whole new map that I haven't been to at all. So the Rimmen Quarry, that's a different thing. Yes, the Nardal Quarry and the Rimmen Quarry are different. Okay. So, but until we get to down here to Beacon Watch and Aldberg. Okay. Okay. All right. So most of these quests are taking me off to the Beacon Hills. Interesting. Okay. All right. Tell me more, Guthloff. One regret I hold is that in our hard ride through the Beacon Hills, I could not stop and climb up Halifirian's height, for there I am told is a tomb. I'm told that too. And before that place, the oath of Eorl between Rohan and Gondor was forged, so that in time of great need, one would come to another's aid as brothers in blood and mind. It is thus that we ride now, though I think I am not alone in feeling that we go not just to defend our brethren of Gondor, but all Middle-earth as well. Well, we shall soon move on again, but if you should find yourself there, take note for me of what you see, and if we should meet again on this road or another, share with me what you had seen. Okay, Guthloff. Do not blame you one little bit for wanting to find out. You know, to hear a tales of the tomb of Elendil. We first met Gléowine at a lumber yard? Was it Guthloff? Guthloff we met at the lumber yard. Yes, we did. Wasn't he in, down here in Eastfold? Like in Guthloff, yeah, in Fenmarch? Was it Fenmarch? Yeah. I think it's Fenmarch. It was Imping. Oh, Imping. Okay. Where the heck is Imping? Yeah, my memories are so bad. It is just outside Fenmarch. Hey, okay, come on, you're just trolling me now. I was pretty sure it was down here. Okay, fine. Yes. All right. See, look, when I do remember, now you're messing with me. Okay. To whom am I delivering porridge? Oh, I'm just picking up the porridge pot. Feed hungry riders. Nobody around here's hungry? Okay. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, the green rings are presumably hungry riders, right? Yeah, okay. Alright, well, let us... Look at the deer just standing there as bold as brass, and nobody even trying to defend themselves. I guess we can distribute the hungry riders on our way here. Three cheers for being famished. I'm glad that this porridge makes people so happy. Oh, hang on. What's going on? There we go. Three cheers for porridge. I agree, Hologrow. One of them should complain that the porridge is too hot or too cold. That does seem like it would be appropriate. But seriously, there's like one hungry rider in each little part of the camp? Well, I want to go and discover... the other little areas. I guess the epic quest. Oh, look. Accidentally came back to where I started from. Now, what is up in this direction? Where am I looking? Oh, up towards Eilenach. Right. Okay. Well, I don't want to go up to Eilenach, in fact. Okay, so we'll come down here. And yeah, we'll keep going down instead of turning back around and going back up. Okay. The worsted of the king's men. Now y'all are hungry, huh? Okay, that's fine. So the king's men are going to be the ones from whoa, where am I? To Rohan. The ones from like Kingstead and Eastfold down here. Still no more side quests. I was kind of expecting to find more. I have never seen porridge make people so happy. Bringing joy through porridge. So, seeing these individual camps is making me wonder, did the devs actually place 6,000 bedrolls through the woods around here? Because there's a lot. There's a lot, but is it the actual amount? Is it the actual number? Okay. I fed hungry people. Very good. No. I seem to have accidentally toggled myself. Okay. All right, I'm going to go to the next camp then. Because I certainly, before I go wandering off, I'm going to collect all of the side quests. So we cross this other river. Okay. Right, so there's a stream, another stream that goes down between Eilenach and Amandine, and that's where those Variags were laying their ambush that we accidentally collected quests for before. Okay. Ah, the worsted of the Helmingas. So this will be the Westfold, folks. Our friend Grimbold will be up here somewhere. But nobody wants to talk to me? Oh, I have to go up further? There's probably a road or something I'm supposed to take. Okay, well, I did remember that the red shields were the Westfold dudes. Hello, Westfold folks. Just Grimbold, huh? Nobody else with any side quests?
There is some trouble on the road ahead.
We meet again, once more on the eve of battle. I have 10 Aeorids of men from the Westfold with me, and we ride with Théoden King to the aid of Gondor. Some of these men fought with me at the fords, and still others defended the deep from Saruman's malice. They catch what rest they can before we make to move again. There is some trouble on the road ahead. I heard scouts tell that orcs have blocked the straight way to the Pelennor. The danger does not worry me. Nay, I am worried that dealing with this force will slow us overmuch, and by the time we reach the White City it will be filled not with doughty men, but with ravening orcs. Time is our greatest enemy on this road, as it ever is. Okay. Really? No side quests at all, huh? I mean, it's not that I don't already have plenty of side quests. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm a little bit surprised. I thought I might have more. Grimbold, I'm going to go this way because this is the way, apparently, back towards the road. Oh, good. There's a nice cliff here. Oh, Grimbold has a nice view. Okay. So I'm going to mount up briefly. You wonder what kind of porridge we're giving them? Cinnamon and apple and raisins and spice have always been my favorites, but that's assuming that we're giving them Quaker instant oatmeal. Yeah. Oh man, Drow Snake, the Eowyn's bad soup scene is one of my pet peeves. It's not like a serious objection. Well, maybe I do have a fairly serious objection to it. Elfmar. Okay, wait, don't tell me Elfmar. I remember the boar is a help. Hang on. I'm gonna go with Elfmar is from... Aldberg? Is he from Aldberg? No. He's not from Aldberg. He's from... Oh, shoot. Wait, no, I know this. Hang on. I remember him. He's from Faldham. Right? Elfhelm's son? There we go. Yes. Okay. Whew. All right. So I'm going to get a couple of them right.
Prove itself worthy of its reputation.
It's good to see you among the soldiers. My father and I responded to the muster of Théoden King with as many men as we could find. We have 8 Aeorids between us, a fine number. The elf ward will prove itself worthy of its reputation. I hope to fight alongside my shield brother Éomer in the coming engagement, but that may not come to pass. The marching order is not yet set, but when we come to Pelennor he will likely ride with the king's men, and I will be among the Eorlingas. Still, the press of battle will no doubt allow us both much chance for glory. I am certain you will attain no small share of it for yourself, friend Burglar. Okay, excellent. Where's his dad? Where's Elfhelm? Winter, porridge dinner. Yeah. Oh man, match the following 20 LOTRO NPCs with their home locations would be a downright cruel pub trivia question. All right. Who else we got? Oh, Herobrand. I'm pretty sure I remember where he's from. He's from, what is it, up in the Stone Deans? Pretty sure I'll remember the name of the town when I see it on the map. Okay. Oh. Shock of Wheat. That's the Sootcrofts, isn't it? What's his name? The name of the leader. He's in the song. Why am I blanking? Fastred. Yeah, right? Fastred? Sootcrofts? There he is. Yes.
I thought you would be somewhere in this assemblage.
Yes, my lands were well represented in the muster, and my heart soared to see the gladness in my king's eye for it. 300. 300. Wow, that's a lot. So 66,300? Really? That's a lot. My son Fulkred will weather the storm in Edoras with my mother. It was the vile Krumgam that moved her to spirit Fulkred away from Snowborn, but now I am glad that it was done. The Lady Éowyn will keep them safe, and my wife Elfhelm has gone after them to wait until the war be done. For my part, I am hoping to see Krumgam in our path on the road to Gondor. He and I have unfinished matters to which we must attend. Insults were done to me in my house, and I would have them repaid in blood. Krumgam. Yeah, Fastred. Outside chance that plot line is going to be resolved during this stage. Okay. And we... Okay, so Herobrand is the only one left. So it looks like I'm not getting more. I had this like little fantasy that at each one that I went to talk to, I would have like a new set of side quests or something. But I guess as I say, I already have enough. I don't want to be greedy of side quests. I'm taking the, direct route here. Now I'm taking the direct route to try to find the road. I was really hoping to find Elfhelm because, of course, I would love to find Dernhelm and Merry, who have to be somewhere in here. But I am assuming that I don't have to just hunt for them like a needle in a haystack. Sorry, but rather that a quest will take me somewhere near them at some point. Okay. I'm gonna head... How do I prioritize these? I could go to the Variogs now. Why don't I do that? Just in case that leads to other quests near here. Because it looks like the majority of the stuff is off in the Beacon Hills map. Which makes sense, because I've already quested throughout this whole region. Do I really think they do an entire quest over such a minor Easter egg? Yes. Yes, I do. Not that it's such a very minor Easter egg after all. Hang on a second. Let's There's milestone. Yeah. Let's bind it here. Okay. All right, now let's go back and kill Variags. Make sure that we get no more landscape quests for here in the north central part of the Tower Druidon, and then we'll be completing these quests and moving off to the Beacon Hills. Gryfflet likes to be... His first priority always is to follow narrative threads, but everything else being equal, he prefers geographical tidiness. You're right, Drowsnake, that Dernhelm is only in one chapter and so is therefore a quite minor character in the story. But that's okay. All right. Okay, this looks like the frontier. Oh, I forgot to open my presents today. What do I get? Combat run speed and battle potion of restoration. Okay. All right, we're stealth mode. Okay. All right. While I fight Variags, let's get a war question queued up. All right. Yeah, I just had one. I just looking at one. I was just looking at one that I was like, yeah, that's where I want to start. Sorry, I can't find the one I was thinking I was going to answer today. Oh, there it is. Regnier, 1919, asked, what's the difference between allegory and metaphors, especially with regard to Tolkien, because he disliked allegory? All right. Yeah, let's talk about allegory a little bit. So... Tolkien's objections to allegory are, first of all, kind of overblown. He used allegory in several of his stories, sometimes very successfully, as in the case of Leaf by Niggle, and sometimes unsuccessfully, as in the case of Smith of Wootton Major. Now, so it's merely an overstatement to say that, like, Tolkien hates allegory and never uses it, because I hate people who run away and then run back. I'm just going to keep answering the question until this dude comes back to me, because I can't be bothered to chase him. You're just wasting time. Seriously. What Tolkien was... The context in which Tolkien said that, of course, was the prologue to the second edition of The Lord of the Rings. And what he was responding to, explicitly, I mean, he says this in that same prologue when he's discussing it, is he is responding to the various hints and guesses about the meaning of The Lord of the Rings that he had read since the first publication of the Fellowship of the Ring. And he's referring, of course, to the sort of the famous suppositions that were very frequent at the time about, various allegorical interpretations, most of which centered on World War II, Sauron being an allegory for Hitler, and that kind of thing. And the ring being like the nuclear bomb. So that's the kind of thing that he was objecting to when he wrote that. This introduces, of course, one important distinction in allegory, which is lost on a lot of modern people because we don't do allegory that much. But this was a very important distinction to medieval readers of allegory who did allegory all the time. This is one of their favorite genres. And the distinction is between doing allegory as a genre of writing and allegory as a mode of reading. Allegory as a genre of writing is when an author sets out to tell the kind of story that is sort of meant to have an allegorical interpretation. Like this is, and so when they do this, they are you're meant to decode it. Like allegory is all about decoding, right? So when you're doing what was called allegory of the poets, you're playing a kind of game with your readers, right? And it's a mutual game. Like you're both in on it. And again, the point is you're meant to decode it. And so as an author, you provide enough clues that your reader is able to figure it out. And the clues usually are included in their names. That's the most common way of providing clues. If those of you who were attending on Wednesday night my Mythgard Academy session, in which we were talking about Till We Have Faces by C.S. Lewis, this is what I was talking about there when I said when we come across somebody with a name like Psyche, which is the Greek word for soul, that is like an allegory flag. That's what I meant. It's one of those kinds of clues. That's it, right? Do I have any other landscape quests for here? Where are we? Western Gondor. What even category are we in? Faranorian? Okay, here we go. No, just scouting the beacons and then a bunch of Beacon Hills quests. Okay. Good. Fine. And I do need to go back to Amontine. Let's try to do this by war steed. That'll probably be a pretty bad idea. But we'll give it a shot. Yeah, Till We Have Faces is an amazing book. A little plug for that discussion if you would like to do that with me on Wednesday nights. But anyway, that's the kind of thing that I mean. And so you get clues. The author gives you clues, and you're supposed to figure it out. And it's not supposed to be hard to figure out. That's the whole point. The story itself is only a vehicle for conveying the ultimate like message, right? The thing that the story or the thing you're actually wanting to communicate is something quite different from the story you appear to be telling. I missed the turnoff. Where did I miss the turnoff? Right here. Right. So you appear to be telling a story about, hang on. I remember this one. It's not up through here. It's around the corner from here. This is the way to the beacon, which I've already been to, but apparently I need to scout again in order to do the scouting bounty. Yes, J.J. Pilgrim's Progress is the classic, one of the classic examples, and probably one of the best known still to the modern world. There are a lot of medieval examples, but like nobody really reads the Romance of the Rose anymore, whereas people do still read Pilgrim's Progress. So, yeah, that's sort of the, as I say, the classic example. And the story of the journey of Christian, whose name is a bit of a clue. All of the names are clear clues in Pilgrim's Progress. The journey of Christian from his home to the Celestial City it's designed to convey something, a different idea, right? And so therefore, many of the characters that you meet along the way, you don't really care about them. Like, they're not really people. They are depicted as people, and they do things in the story. But the way they're depicted, the way they're described, and the things that they do, the purpose of all of these things is just to flesh out the ideas, right? So when you meet a character called Timorous, or you meet a character called Faith, you know what you're being told, right? You know what you're being, what is being described, and the whole game, right? The whole point is to interpret the descriptions, interpret their actions, interpret their roles in the story as a way to unfold this, you know, the ideas, right? The ideas that are trying to be conveyed by the narrative. So you're reading a story, but you're not really reading a story. Or you're not reading something that you care about as a story. You're reading something that you care about as a way to approach a separate idea. And this, I believe, is why Tolkien said what he said about Allegory in that prologue, is that when people were reading The Lord of the Rings allegorically in this way, they were assuming that that meant it was that kind of story. In other words, a story in which the characters don't matter, their actions don't matter, except in as a way to help you to decode them, and as a way to figure out, you know, what is going on, what the higher ideas are. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what happens in the quest for the ring. All that really matters is that you figure out the ring is supposed to be the atomic bomb, right? And you're supposed to be thinking about like the Allies and their relationship with the atomic bomb. And if you get that, then you've gotten the point, right? And that point is really all that matters. And Tolkien very much did not want his story read that way. That wasn't, in fact, what The Lord of the Rings was meant to be. He was not playing that kind of game. He was not making that kind of story. So he spoke very strongly about how, like, he doesn't enjoy that game. He's not playing that game, and definitely don't read The Lord of the Rings that way. But again, that's not to say that he never uses allegory. Now, I said, by the way, there were two categories of allegory. One is allegory as a mode of writing, as a genre of writing in this way. The other way in which allegory is discussed is allegory as a method of reading. The first was called the allegory of the poets, the genre of writing. The other was these are in the Middle Ages, and the other was, which was the great high water mark of allegory, and the other was called the allegory of the theologians, because the medieval understanding was that you were supposed to read the Bible allegorically. And that is, it's not even to say that it was necessarily intended. It wasn't written as an allegory in the same way. But there you read a story, and the characters are real, and the characters are important. The characters are even historical. Like, it can be describing actual historical events, and yet it also has a higher meaning. There is also a sort of a spiritual idea that lies behind it. That's the idea of the allegory of the theologians. And it's not especially relevant to Tolkien. He was primarily saying, don't apply that kind of reading. Like, don't look for the allegory in my book, because I haven't put one there. So don't mistake this for an allegory of the poets. That's just not the genre. Oops. Wait, can we get back on the stairs? Yes, we can. That's not the kind of work that I have written, and it's not how I want you to read. Boy, galloping a warhorse downstairs. On the one hand, it's pretty hard. On the other hand, it's kind of easier than it should be, if you think about it. But, yeah. So, but now, as for the other element of your question, what's the difference between metaphor and allegory? Is a really great question. So, and I would add a third thing to that, if I could, and that's symbolism. And I think that that's relevant because many of I have spoken over the years with people who are uneasy about the idea of reading anything like as being symbolic in any way in Tolkien's writing because of what he said about allegory. Like, they're trying so hard to respect what he said about allegory that they basically sort of say, okay, so there's nothing in. I even had one person say to me once, Tolkien stories don't mean anything because he said so. I'm like, what? No, that's not actually at all what he was saying. But again, I can understand the impulse to say, like, you know, he doesn't want us to read into it. Yes, again, he didn't want it to be read in that way. He didn't want it to be read as if he had intended it as an allegory. Because again, to quote a medieval person talking about this. Hang on, am I going up the right path? Yes, I am. Well, looking at the map while galloping on the war steed is pretty bold. I'm going to slow my war steed down just a touch. To quote a medieval person, the form of, when you interpret an allegory, it's like, whoa, hard left-hand turn here. Oh dear. I think I'm walking from here. I'll come in again. Okay, interpreting an allegory is like threshing wheat, right? Wheat has the hard shell of the wheat, of the grain of wheat, and then it has the meat of the grain inside it, and you have to thresh it, right? Which means you beat it, and you crack open that shell, and then the seed of wheat falls out, and then the shell remains, and that's of course what's called chaff. And then you blow the chaff away because it's not good for anything, and you keep the wheat. And so Chaucer famously used that metaphor and said, "Talk the wheat and let the chaff be still." Take the wheat and let the chaff shut up. Right. That's the approach to allegory. Once you've cracked the nut, right? Once you've figured it out, the story itself is just the shell, right? It's just the vehicle for conveying the idea. The idea is what matters, right? That's what the story is. That's the point of the story. That's what everything is really about. And again, that's exactly what Tolkien wanted to ensure was not going to happen with his story. That is, in my opinion, the entire point that he was making when he said, don't read the Lord of the Rings this way. That does not mean the story is meaningless. It does not mean that it means neither that he intended nothing, nor does it mean that he that nothing has any kind of symbolic significance. So going back to those three things: allegory, metaphor, and symbolism. Yeah, beating on the doors. Wonder what's in there. I don't know. I can't open it either, guys, but worst luck to you. Yeah, so hang on a second. Heal the poison first. Stealth self second. Great view from up here, man. What is that? Oh, waterfall. Okay. Yeah, sorry, it's kind of dim. I thought it was a tower at first. I was like, holy cow. I'm going to climb up here onto the... Wow. Where am I looking? I'm looking... Oh, that's Nardal over there. Okay. And that means that that's the quarry? No. Oh, no, I'm looking... That's Amundine. I'm looking in the wrong direction entirely. That's Amundine. So that's the road. So that down there is the orc camps and stuff. Okay. Gotcha. There's the castle place where the orcs are. Okay. And then down into the mountainous... All right, Drew Buta is down there. There's their waterfall, right? Okay. Let's look the other direction. Okay, so that one is Nardal then. Oh, look at that nice bridge. Wonder where that goes. Over to the quarry, of course. And there's the quarry. Yeah, you can just see it. Okay, and then there's the next one over in the Beacon Hills. Cool. All right. I think I'm going to cheat outrageously here. Okay. Okay, Dunhedda. Totally scouted them out.
We are sworn to fight by Gondor's side, and so we shall.
Yeah. Yes, you shall. Okay. All right, excellent. So a metaphor is simply a figure of speech in which you connect two ideas. So there's no sort of deep kind of symbolism involved. There's nothing arcane about a metaphor. People use metaphors all the time. People use metaphors and don't even realize they're metaphors. We just almost automatically think metaphorically. We're always using things to come. If you say a football player goes into beast mode, that's a metaphor, like it's a metaphor connecting the idea of that player and his current actions with a beast of in some sense, right? Again, people use metaphors constantly. And that is, of course, the difference between a simile and a metaphor. A simile is where you are drawing a comparison and drawing attention to the fact that it is a comparison, right? So if you say, he is like a beast, right? You're making an explicit comparison and usually drawing attention to something. That's why the word as is often used, right? So if you say, I'm like, if you say someone is as strong as an ox, right? You're not just saying he's an ox. You're saying he's strong as an ox, right? So there's that one particular comparison you're drawing. That's why like and as are the words that sort of signal similes. Metaphors are just used without, you just take two things and you put them together, right? She's a firecracker. That's a metaphor. You're not drawing any particular connection between that particular person and firecrackers. You're just putting those two ideas together and saying there is a likeness between these two. Symbolism is so allegory is like that in a sense. It's like an extended comparison. Symbolism is when you say is when you're finding symbolism as they normally say it in a work. And I'm just about to blow past Harold Brown. I think I got to turn off up here. Where is he? This is when there's a link between an abstract idea and a concrete figure in a story. Man, how do I get up to his camp? Is there some kind of turnoff here? So just wander around here until I find him. Yeah, so you see a link between now symbols can be intended by the author and they can be unintended by the author too. Sometimes an author will describe a thing and be conveying something else by it. You have a symbol, like the way in which think of the way in the I was just having a conversation about this the other day. The way in which Enduril, the sword, is used as the symbol of Aragorn's kingship in the film. When Elrond gives it to him in that weird from a book perspective scene in Dunharrow. It was funny, the conversation I was having, this was with somebody at Cascade Moot in Oregon. He made a wonderful comment. He said, that scene, the scene between Elrond and Aragorn in Dunharrow in the film, he's like, that scene was better than it had any right to be. And I think that's exactly correct. It was a great scene. So strange from a book perspective, but it works really, really well. But notice the way in which the film insists on the symbolic significance of that sword, both in that moment when Elrond gives it to Aragorn, and then even more when Aragorn uses it, and it is recognized, and Aragorn's authority is recognized by the King of the Dead. That is a classic example of symbolism, where this idea, right, an abstract idea about of Aragorn's kingship, right, of Aragorn's kingly authority, is conveyed to us as viewers or as readers through a tangible object. It's like allegory in this way, but it's not the same thing. It's not allegory. It isn't the same thing. Sometimes any kind of connection of an abstract idea, or, connection between an abstract idea and a concrete thing, can be kind of all lumped together in the same class. But again, like, the point of an allegory is that you're doing that kind of thing all over the place and deliberately as a kind of puzzle for people to piece together. This instead just gives this particular item in the story more resonance. Like, if you miss the symbol, usually you don't miss that much, right? I mean, like, you'll get the fact that Aragorn is awesome and has authority, even if you're not thinking about the significance of his sword as a symbol of his kingly authority, right? You don't have to be processing it in that term, in those terms, in order to feel it, in order to get it, right? In order to sort of see what's going on there. Symbols can often be really subtle in this way. This is one reason why when people ask, like, do you think the author really meant that? A lot of the times my answer is, I don't know, and it doesn't really matter. It's often a way, sometimes merely, of describing the thing that's happening, the thing that we're getting from this part of the story. Was the author consciously thinking, like, I shall make the sword into a symbol of... Now, do I think that Peter Jackson and Philippa Boyens were doing that? 100%. I think they were. But that's not... But again, that's a really simple and sort of obvious example. There are lots of places where these symbols are kind of subtle, and again, they don't even have to be consciously intended by the author to be part of the story of what's going on there. But again, that's the difference between symbolism and allegory, is that allegory is something, it is meant to be a puzzle that you're meant to decode. And if you don't decode it, you've missed the point. And that's exactly what Tolkien said that he wasn't doing. Okay. All right. Herobrand and Herofara.
Ah, welcome to the last journey.
Yes, and Herobrand, hang on, don't tell me your city. Darn it. Your city is... you're in the Stone Deans. Were you from Woodhurst? Was it Woodhurst? I think it was. Herobrand and Herofara? I think so. It wasn't Stoke. Yeah. Hiding in a basement on the outskirts of Woodhurst. That's what I thought. Okay. Yep. All right. I did remember that one. The Stone Deans are behind and Gondor lies ahead. The words of Hildegard served me as a shield in my fight with the Dunlendings, as I knew they would. The seeress spoke of my death by orcish hand, then let me fight the Dunlending tribes from morning until night. But now that Woodhurst is reclaimed and I think it's a hard G, Gifmund, oversees it in my name, which is going very well, I'm sure, Herobrand, and I don't fear any problems with that whatsoever. I will not refuse the command of my king. I march to war, and I wonder if the orc that will lay me low stands ready somewhere at the end of this road. He certainly does, but I will not let that dissuade me from facing him. I love the way in which the story of Herobrand, the backstory of Herobrand, acknowledges what was... Like, he's the only one of the characters that we meet, that we know are in the song, who also knows that he's going to die, right? He's dealing with a prophecy of his own death, which is just exactly what we're dealing with our knowledge of the future. I love the way that dynamic gets integrated into that story. I prepared my son Herofara for this. If my days are soon to be ended, he knows our duty. Let us join us and rejoice. Glory and honor awaits us. That's it, Herobrand. You're facing your end with honor. I have bad news about your son too, though.
There is much to be done.
I have not seen you since we fought together at Brockbridge. Your arrival is unexpected, but most welcome. Are you aware of our current troubles? Orc spies have been spotted in the woods not far from here. They are searching for us, that is certain. I have a task for you. Defeat these spying orcs so that we Rohirrim can remain hidden. Return as soon as you can, as there is much that needs doing, and I need all the help I can get. Yes, Edith Hedderfada is also in the song too. Yes, he is. That's the extra painfulness of Woodhurst. Okay. All right, where are they? They're, oh, way down there. That much backtracking? Hedderfada. For you, Hedderfada. Anything. Least I can do. All right. What a strange area for them to be in. Halfway up Eilenach? I mean, who are they? What danger are they to anybody way over there? You started dreading the Pelennor quest as soon as we got to Estildine? What, and you met Halberud for the first time? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I hear that. I hear that. Yeah, I think he is the first, like, definitely doomed character like that we meet. Yeah. Well, I can find them all. Will they count? Well, I'm just going to go to that one whacked out region. I mean, it's like straddling the river. I'm surprised. I really thought I was kind of done at Eilenach. Oh wait, I'm supposed to talk to Thrymm Red-beard. Alright, well I'll talk to him too then, since I'm backtracking anyway. Actually, maybe I'll do that first. Tell you what, I'll do that first. Find Thrymm. And Thrymm is from, what do you call it? Up in the mountains, yeah? Hang on. Let me actually stop writing before I start gazing at the map. From, yeah, Wildermore, right? Couldn't remember the name. Yes, the one who was yeeted by the giant. That's right. That's right. No, he not yeeted. Come on. The one who yote. The one whom the giant yote. Yes. Wait, what did we say was the past participle? Yeet, yote. Yeet, yote. Yacht? Yet. That's right, yet. That's right. That was it. Yet. Yes, he was yet by the giant. That's the past participle. How could I forget? Yeet, yote, yet. Clearly is the correct principal parts. Yeah. It is not yeeted, Druid's Fire. Give it up. The world has enough weak verbs. We don't need to add more. Besides, yeeted is a particularly awkward weak verb. No. Yeet, yote, yet. Yes, on the model of meet and met. exactly. Hang on a second. Wow. I got a little carried away talking about principal parts of verbs. Hey, look, people got to stop ragging on how complicated English is and how irregular English is. English is a language that, kind of grew up in a broken home, and it's of mixed origins, right? I mean, it has a like a Roman father and a German mother, and grew up, sort of bicultural, and then moved, to like Queens and mingled with a bunch of other folks. And all right, so Thrymm is somewhere around here. Where? And also, we can't forget the, as so many people generally do, forget the very probable Celtic influences, and the grammar, especially of English. Okay, I'm on the wrong side of the bloody road. Where the heck is Thrymm? He's up. What am I even looking at? I'm looking at Eilenach. Where is he? Where the quest ring is just a cliff face. Hey, Thrymm. There you are. There's my Wildermore, folks.
We have been through much.
You have a lot to say. What adventures have brought you to this assemblage? I have here but one Eorid, but it is composed of the fiercest warriors in all of Rohan. I stake my honor upon it. We have been through much to come so to this company. We have received the call to the weapon take. We received the call on the weapon on the night of March 11th, and I began to gather what men I could. 2 Eorids of Wildermore's most skilled riders. At dawn I led these men east to the wold, but I did not know that danger was so near. Under cover of darkness, orcs and Easterlings had crossed the river at the Undeeps. They overwhelmed the watchers at Standguard and crossed into the wold. The enemy assailed Harwick, but Aldor Harding had already gone to the weapon take. His son Leodwig remained in the city, and saw that all would soon be lost. That is when my Eorids charged right into the flank of the enemy. Our fortunes did not hold, and we were soon routed. The city was now afire. Leodwig rode forth and fought valiantly, but he was grievously wounded. He withdrew to a defensible position on a hilltop. It was to be the location of our last stand. Early on the morning of March 12th, as the enemy prepared to climb the hill and put an end to us, one of our scouts reported hearing a sighing sound on the wind. It was the rustling of branches, thousands of them, and it rushed down from Wildermore in a great flood of sound. Behind this great sound came the trees, dozens of trees of every variety, and among them strode great shepherds. At first I thought these were devils of Norzum's kind, but it was not so. They were led by a strange fellow of the name of Leaflock, and he spoke in halting fashion of many unfathomable mysteries, some of which I have still not unraveled. There will be time for determining the meaning behind his words later, if we survive the war ahead. He did not consider himself or his people warriors, but I can tell you they became terror on the battlefield. The enemy will not come back to the wold. There was only one Eorid left to me after this battle. We rode with haste to the Entwade and changed horses. We passed Aldburg at dusk, but did not stop. Upon reaching Beacon Watch, we had to stop and rest, and learned there that Théoden camped in the Firian Wood the night before. On dawn on the 13th, with our horses refreshed, we crossed the Mering stream and rode hard through the Beacon Hills. We were so close, but not yet close enough. We were beset by orcs and Variags, near Amundine. We broke through the line of Variags, but they did not pursue us. I think now I know the reason. They knew the road ahead would be held against us. In the darkness of night we came to the western flank of the encampment in the Druidan, and were nearly turned into pincushions by Grimbold sentries. At the last moment one of the archers recognized me by the spectre of my beard, crimson in the guttering light of the single torch they allowed. Can you imagine what Kuneberg would say if this great tale of mine, of riding more than 500 miles in 3 days to the aid of my king, ended with me and my men put in the ground by our sworn brothers? I can imagine what she would say, and it would make my head hurt more than any of Norzum's tantrums. Okay. Awesome. I love this. My only regret is that we didn't get to be involved in this part. The way in which... So, of course, we know that Ents aided the war effort. Treebeard mentions this, right? That the Ents defeated an army of orcs in the Wold. When Treebeard says it, it's one sentence in The Lord of the Rings, and it's after the fact, what's more. It's one sentence, and we know nothing. Like, the Wold is just a name. It means nothing to us. Notice that this story, the totally different way in which this hits us, because we know the towns, we know the struggles that they'd been having, we know the people involved. It's so cool. Even Leaflock and his Ents, of course, were those whom we unleashed during that whole really cool quest line up there in Wildermore. Really, again, the only thing that would be cooler is if we had been able to help them in some way, but I can see how they would have had a hard time sending us back the right way. That is the tale, Gryfflet. We have ridden hard and through battle to stand with Théoden King. Onward to triumph and glory. I have spoken already with Harding and given him news of his son, but you should speak to him also. He is in the northeastern reaches of the encampment. Okay. Wow. All right, we are moving. Okay, navigating through the encampment, not trivial, actually. Thanks, Thrymm. All right, let's see. All right, so I need to be looking out for a way up over there on the left. But anyway, yeah, man, if there were any way that we could have been involved in that whole exchange, that would have been awesome. Really awesome. All right. Harding from the Wold. Yeah, the suit of armor guys. Harding. Yes, I remember you're kind of a jerk, but, you know, heart more or less in the right place.
You have joined the ride as well, I see.
Yes. Should we get to Minas Tirith in time, there will be quite a battle, but it is not certain we will do so, for there is some trouble ahead in the road. You tell Harding that you spoke with Thrymm about his journey from Wildermore. Then you must have heard that my son Leodwig led the defense of Harwick against the creeping orcs and Easterlings. My heart swelled to hear the Red-beard speak of my son's charge from the city. He will bear his wounds proudly, and if my own road is to end in the battles to come, I will know that the Wold is in capable hands. I did not think my boy would have the ability to lead men in battle. Indeed, I sent him to investigate Wildermore, in part because I thought he could not handle the dangers pressing from the east. But I am pleased to have been wrong. Sons have a way of growing up and becoming men, I suppose. Speak to Ingbert of Endwash Vale if you doubt me. He told me that his own son, Horn, has experienced a similar transformation. Dun dun dun. Okay. Yeah. Let us go find Horn. Good old Horn. Okay. How far? Right. I've got to go around this little cliff here. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we're getting towards the end of my time. I have to be mindful of this. My son is back at school now, finally. So, I say finally because his start of his school is actually delayed twice this year. Because he's the luckiest dog there is. But yeah, he's back in school now, so I got to go pick him up. Let's see. Am I in the right place? Getting there. Getting there. Man, I find this camp so thoroughly disorienting. Like, I can never even tell whether I'm facing north or south. Ingbert. There you are. Entwash Vale, the harp people. Where's Horn?
My son Horn has come to his senses at last.
There is a familiar face, though it was long ago and many miles from here when I last saw it. Gryfflet the burglar. I am delighted to tell you that my son Horn has come to his senses at last. He has had a welcome change of heart and ridden with the company as he should. And most welcome of all, he has left his wild woman behind. That is not welcome. I don't welcome that. I love the Horn and Nona story.
War is calling. Finally, my son will prove he is a man of Rohan.
It is true. My son has finally shown some sense and has chosen to leave the foolish loves of his youth behind him. He will do his duty as I, his father, command, and as his king requires. War is calling. And finally, my son will prove he is a man of Rohan and worthy of my bloodline. Would that he had realized it sooner. I might have been spared much frustration. Oh man, Ingbert, you're still a jerk. You do not believe that Horn has so chosen? Ask him yourself and you will see. Oh. Nice. Sorry, I'm looking at the cosmetics. Ruin, Wrath, and Nightfall. Oh man. Oh man, that is awesome. Okay. Where's Horn? Oh, there you are, around the corner. Hey there, Horn. This accursed darkness has cast a pall upon my heart, but it is brightened somewhat to see you again. Much has happened since we parted. Is Corydon with you? Call him over, and I will tell you my tale, for he should hear of it as well. You tell Horn that you were separated from Corydon before the forces of Saruman fell upon Helm's Deep, and were unable to find the elf after the fighting ended. Horn is silent for a time, and then shakes his head. I am sure he is fine, wherever he has gone. I do not believe he would fall prey to Saruman's evil so easily or so quietly. That there is no trace of him should lighten our worry, not increase it. It seems to your ear that Horn is trying to convince himself more than you, but you do not press the issue. He is silent again for a long moment. When he finally speaks, his voice is full of sorrow. Nona and I did not find the Falcon clan raiding party, Gryfflet. Indeed, I think now that she did not really intend to search for Hugh Brennan at all. Her plan was in service of a ruse. I blame her not for it now, but I confess that when the shape of her mind became clear, I spoke harshly. She wanted to get me alone, to tell me to abandon Rohan. She wanted us to find a place where we might live together, live free from the demands of kings and wizards. If the forces of evil triumph, let us face them together, not for kingdom or for bloodlines, but for ourselves, she said. But I would not listen. I was angry to be made to choose in this fashion. I told her that I did not always know what it meant to be a man of Rohan, but our adventures together taught me much on the matter. and I wanted to serve my king as I should. There were more words, and they were hurtful. I made to leave, and Nona told me that if I rode to war with Théoden, I would die before the walls of the White City. How can you know this? I asked her, but before she answered, I knew the answer. Hildegard the soothsayer spoke to Nona of my death. Nona believed it, though I do not. Hildegard has obviously read the poem. That was not her final attack, Gryfflet, and this last strike was to be the most deadly, though it also proved decisive in the matter. Nona said to me that she was with child. Duh. You didn't know that? Hildegard had told her this, but Nona did not need the words of the soothsayer to believe it. I believed it too. The air was still and cold, and the silence stretched between us. I was torn between two duties, service to the woman of my heart and the child our love would bring forth, and to Théoden, the king of my homeland. And that is when I realized that they were not different at all. If Rohan is consumed by war and falls to the enemy's hordes, it will not matter where Nona and I and our child might prepare for our last stand. We will be alone, together but alone, and the enemy will have us. But if Théoden defies the forces of Mordor and finds victory, then there might be peace. Only then will there be safety for the woman I love, and for the child our love is bringing forth. Only then. She thinks I chose to ride for Théoden to seek glory or for honor, but neither of those are the reason. I ride for Rohan for my Dunlending wife, and for my Dunlending child, that they may be safe from the evils of Mordor. It was the most difficult decision I have ever had to make, Gryfflet, and it may have been the wrong one, but still I have made it. It was the only thing I could have done, and if it is wrong and Hildegard is right, and I ride to my death in Gondor far from those I love, well, you have my permission to tell my old music master Gléowine that he was right after all. You look at Horn quizzically. Oh, Gléowine and I have been having a disagreement about what it means to fight. Do not tell him this, but I think I have been arguing mostly to convince myself rather than him. I have cut a most impressive figure doing so, I think, the very picture of a valiant man of Rohan. I seem to have convinced my father at any rate. Find Gléowine. Yes, if you would like to hear his side of the argument. I so would. It is good to see you, Gryfflet. I wish we had met again in happier circumstances, but there are few enough of those in these dark days. Okay. A disagreement about what it means to fight, huh? So, Horn's side of the argument has been one which has greatly pleased his father, but Gléowine takes the opposite side, huh? What's Gléowine's perspective? Well, there may just be time to hear it. Where is he? Not far. Just, over this cliff. Okay. It's been way too long. Okay, Gléowine, where are you? There you are. And it's Elfhelm! Okay. We're getting warmer. We're getting warmer.
I bid you welcome. Have you seen Horn?
I bid you welcome, Gryfflet. Have you seen Horn? My former student is there's a knot of confusions, and speaking with you might help him unravel them.
You tell Gléowine that you found Horn in the state he describes, but are unsure if your words provided him any comfort.
I'm glad you tried. I think he is being foolish, and I've told him so, but he refuses to listen to me. He thinks he is doing the right thing, but I can tell you that Nona does not agree, and I do not either. What good will it do her and the child on its way if Horn dies now? Little or none, Gryfflet. Glory and honor, they will be of little consolation and no comfort to the family he leaves behind. I'm no warrior. I record what befalls the warriors in song, and know all too well what it means. I dress it up in nice clothes and with pretty words, but still I know it for what it is. Death, and also death. Horn is full of pride, like his father Ingbert, and will not be persuaded. He is a man of Rohan for certain, stubborn and hard-headed, thinking always of duty and honor and service. May it not be the death of him.
You think that Gléowine may have been blinded to the truth of the matter by Horn's blustery words of justification, but you do not correct him. Okay. Oh man, I've missed Gléowine. Interesting. So I'd forgotten that Gléowine was like in the know about the whole Nona situation. And also interesting that, like, although he does record what befalls the warriors in song, he considers it just dressing it up in nice clothes, dressing death up in nice clothes. Okay. Right. So he is convinced that Horn is actually seeking glory and honor. When in fact Horn is being quite pragmatic. Yep. Hey, Elfhelm, anything unusual going on in your part of the camp?
Duty is not always easy.
No, it is not. I know of someone who might have something to add to this debate, Gryfflet. Look for him just to the west if you can control your tongue and keep a confidence. The secret will be safe with me, Elfhelm. You have been right to take me into your confidence. Oh, there's Elfmar right over there. Okay, hang on. Here we go. Around the corner in the woods. All right. Here we are. Merry looking pretty studly in his Rohan armor. Yeah. It's a good look for you, Merry. Hey there, Dernhelm. Dernhelm looks at you warily, but says nothing.
Hello there. At last someone will speak to me.
I've only had Dernhelm here for company, and he speaks very little. It is almost as if none of the men here can see me. I am almost certainly not supposed to be here. I hope that Théoden will not be cross with me when he finds out. But what was I supposed to do? I could not stay behind while all others have gone off to danger. That has been this hobbit's story almost from the very beginning. Frodo and Sam and Pip, all gone off now, braving danger in strange lands. I could not let it happen again. I am grateful that Dernhelm saw fit to help me come along. He has an understanding with Elfhelm, I think. The old marshal is turning a blind eye to my presence here, and I am glad of it. I just hope I am not too much of a burden, on the road or in the battle that is certain to come. I love the fact that they're both letting us in on the secret and not, right? They're also maintaining the secrecy of the other half of this story. Merry is a kind of blind in that way, right? Like there's something strange and secret going on. But, it's totally the fact that Merry came along. That's the secret, which is completely true. All right. What am I getting? Probably not the ruin ones, right? I'm going to be getting Armor of Wrath. I am happy about that. Armor of Wrath it is. Give me my shoulders of wrath.
I am sick of waiting around.
Let us see if we can get a look at what Théoden is doing. I will use my natural sneakiness to remain out of sight, but I cannot bear not knowing what is going on. The king is meeting with his advisors in a clearing to the southwest. It is not far. Was he meeting with my old friend Hanbury Khan? Okay. I think we're going to have to wait for this next thing. All right. Let me, first things first. Let's check out our new cosmetics here. Okay, so having completed my set of the Arnorian tree set, right? Yeah. So I always love to complete a cosmetic set, though I have to admit I'm not a huge fan of the aesthetics of this. It's not my favorite cosmetic set by any stretch. So, let us replace it. Let us replace it. Ooh. I like it better already. Nice with the the trees there? Like the trees. Oh yeah, this is going to be an upgrade. I'm excited. I'm excited about the Wrath cosmetic set. Okay, and I don't think... I'm going to leave the essences here. I don't think... What's that? Assortment of dwarf candles? Where did I get those? I wonder. Yeah, looking snappy in your new shoulders there. Okay. Well, fine. All right. Yeah, I'm like 2 minutes early, but I can't go because it's not an instant, or it may trigger an instance, and I don't know how long that'll take. So I think I'm gonna sign off now here with Merry and the totally unknown to me Dernhelm, and we will resume next time. Next time, maybe a bit of a ways off, actually. I definitely won't be here either of the next 2 weeks. I'm traveling both of the next 2 weekends. Family travel next week, and Middlemoot the week after that. I think the week after that, that's the weekend of New England Moot, but I'm not traveling for that because that's here. So I believe I'll be here. So I'll only miss the next 2 weeks, I think. Sorry, I've been so irregular of late, but it's a busy travel season, busy season in general at Signum, and a busy travel season in particular. But yeah, many of the middle of the week classes will still be on Tomas. But yeah, my Friday afternoons I won't be free until 3 weeks from today, at the earliest. So thanks everybody for joining me. I'll see you guys as soon as I can. Bye now. Thanks for joining in on my rambles around Standing Stone's brilliant digital adaptation of Tolkien's world. If you enjoy these adventures, please consider supporting this and other entertaining educational programming by donating at signumuniversity.org/fund.